We are now on air. Time for a total takeover.
It's finally here. Welcome to a new episode.
It's about to go down.
Good morning, greetings and salutations. It's yours truly, Dan Adams, aka Soulful Servant, the DA and the prosecutor, coming to you with another edition of the Dan Adams Show from the remote political heat studios. You know, that's how I do. And it is Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. What are you drinking? Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you're drinking today, whether it's coffee, water, juice, or something of the stronger persuasion. Because it is Thursday. But let's go ahead and get into this. And I want to talk about the craziness that is going on in Canada. And that seems to be a theme lately, but unfortunately, Canada and Mr. Blackface Hitler Trudeau has made it impossible for me not to talk about this, or anyone not to talk about this. Because if we look at our neighbors to the north, okay, and we look at the authoritarianism going on in Australia, who's to say, especially with former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden and the actions that he can take and that Congress can take and that companies are already taking across America, we could be headed in that same direction. Now, the Freedom Convoy here in America is about to embark, and we have already people talking about some idiot congresswoman, I believe, said on Twitter that, hey, seeing that the Freedom Convoy is set to embark, and when they land in any city that you may land in, especially when they land in D.C., in the Beltway, it's a great opportunity. If you're a trucking business, when the police tow away their trucks and impound them and no longer give the owner the ability to retrieve said truck, we're gonna have an auction for you, and it's gonna help you in your business. That's right. I'm kind of maybe paraphrasing and maybe elaborating a little bit too much what this person said. So this is what this lady said, okay? I don't know what other people are saying. I'm not a person that just hangs out on social media all day and has my timeline up on my computer or my phone. I just go by what I see when I go look. And this is what I found out. And this lady is a complete and utter leftist numbnut moonbat. End of discussion. But to get back with the authoritarianism going on up in Canada and Mr. Blackface Hitler himself, Justin Trudeau, if you listen to this man talk, number one, no one talks like that, okay? But if you listen to like his cabinet members, if you want to call it, especially that one lady who's come out and said, we're coming after every piece of money, property, and freaking whatever you may own, whatever you have that's in your name, we're coming for it. But Trudeau, Mr. Blackface himself, I don't mean to get explicit here, but then when he talks, just listen to him. Sounds like he's about to have an orgasm. And it's as creepy as hell. In Canada, you allowed that man to be your prime minister? And the fact that this past election, I guess he only won with 17% of the vote? What the hell y'all got going up in Canada to where the leader of your country only won by 17%? Someone needs to really explain that one to me. I mean to go look that up and properly educate myself on that. Either way, if it's what Canada does, then that's no wonder why Canada is in the spot that it's in right now, allowing Mr. Blackface to become your prime minister with 17% of the vote. That doesn't even sound right, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't even sound right. But I believe that's what the case is. Lord have mercy. But we're just seeing now stories upon stories upon stories of the police just wilding out up in Canada. You see that one video, you've probably seen it. This lady's walking down the street, has her camera on, and is happening to be filming the police as they're walking up the street, and this one jackass police officer is asking her, "Why are you filming me? Where are you going?" And she's like, "I'm scared. I just want to go get a cup of coffee." So citizens in Canada can't even go get a cup of coffee and walk down the street with their phone without being confronted by a gosh darn police officer. This is what's going on in Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Did you see about that one incident at that one particular cafe where the riot squad was going to break down the doors and break down the glass just to get in there to do an inspection? I never knew the police was the health inspectors. Did you know that? Complete and utter madness going on up in Canada. And I'm making this invitation right now for all the freedom-loving individuals up in Canada. I'm not saying that the current America is the utopia of freedom, but in its current state, it is way better than what you got going on up there. I'm not saying that we're not headed down the path of Canada, but right now we're not near it. Knocking on the door, but not near it. So, if you feel threatened by your own government coming after you and taking away everything that you own, pack up your stuff and head south and come to America. That's my invitation to you, Canada. All right, let's talk about, real quick, Russia and Ukraine. I guess yesterday, former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden slapped down some more sanctions on Russia. But yet, he always has to, compound his statement or pin his statement with something to this effect. I'm going to slap sanctions on Russia, but realize, America, you're going to be screwed too. The Biden inflation is already at an all-time high. So let's go ahead and slap sanctions against Russia, which is going to do absolutely nothing, I believe. Time will tell, but I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't know why this thing is just not acting right today. So we have a situation where we're slapping sanctions on Russia. Putin is laughing and just smirking and just, man, did you see that interchange he had with one of his spies? And his spy was trying to make a statement that Putin was not agreeing with, and he was like, "Dude, shut up, shut it down. Do you want to die right on national TV? Well, on live television?" It was weird. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But you think Putin is scared of sanctions right now? Now, I don't know in regards to this Nord Stream 2 pipeline and shutting that down, what effect it's going to have on Russia. It could have an effect. It could deter Putin. But we don't have someone with a backbone like one Donald J. Trump, who basically told Putin, "You're not going to do that." That's what he told Putin. "I'm not going to allow you to do that. You're not going to do that," in regards to invading the Ukraine. And did it happen during his presidency? Hell to the no. So Putin just counted the days, hoping that Trump didn't get reelected, and he didn't. And he saw who became president, former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. He saw that everything was at the perfect apex for him to invade the Ukraine. He bided his time. Bided his time. And said, you know what? Let me start building up my troops. The world's going to know what I'm about to do. And we have a feckless leader here in the United States who sat around and did nothing. He knew, I guarantee intelligence was coming in just like Afghanistan. But he did absolutely nothing then regarding Afghanistan, and he did absolutely nothing now in regards to Russia invading the Ukraine. And this is just, like I said weeks ago, Russia invading the Ukraine is a precursor for China invading Taiwan. So China is getting emboldened by Russia's antics. So, you know, mark it on the board, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see an invasion of Taiwan from China. I hope it doesn't happen. I pray that it doesn't happen. I hope and pray that whatever invasion that Putin may have waiting in the wings for Ukraine, that he backs out of it. I'm hoping and praying that it happens. But we will have to see. God is in control, and I'm leaving it in his hands. So let's jump out of Europe and swing back to the States. Now, don't want to talk about COVID, but yes, I have to talk about COVID. Here, yesterday, I found out that in my county, Allegheny County, and neighboring Westmoreland County, 0 cases of COVID. That's right, 0. So, you would think that the governor of Pennsylvania would look at what other blue states are doing. And let's realize this is one of the governors who allowed positive COVID patients into nursing homes at the beginning of the COVID outbreak and needlessly ended the lives of so many in those nursing homes. Other blue states are yanking, pulling, removing COVID restrictions. Now, granted, they're not Florida. Would ever be Florida. Let's make that perfectly clear. But they are removing some restrictions that they've put in place. And I just don't see Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania doing anything in regards to channeling his other blue state governors and removing COVID restrictions. I don't know why he's not doing it. I think I'm just going to hit him up on Twitter. He's not going to answer me, but this will just satisfy me in what I need to do as far as my sanity. And to say, hey, these other blue states are doing this, this, and this. Why aren't you? And why aren't the residents of Pennsylvania asking the same question? I guarantee there are, but why aren't they vocally, publicly, with vigor, saying, hey, Governor Wolf, what's going on? In 2 of your biggest counties in the state, you had 0 COVID cases in one day. Let's get it done. Remove these restrictions. Like I said before, I just don't understand why he's not doing it. And if he does the route of, oh, we're going to remove, mask mandates indoors and this and that, but we're going to continue to put face diapers on our children for 8 hours a day. I wish I could just, let me take that back. I was about to say, I wish I could seep into the brain of a leftist who is just obsessed with masks and want to continue to mask our children, and just find out what synapses are firing to where they just have to push towards masking our children. Continually pushing for masking our children. It makes no sense when we all know since day one, basically, of the pandemic, but at least within the first 6 months. And it's still, even with the Delta variant, even with this Omicron variant, that our children are at the least risk of getting COVID. If they get COVID, nothing horrific, unless they have some really bad comorbidities, then something to that effect would have to be, hey, get that person vaccinated if they're available. Get the COVID jab. Because, the COVID jab might help you if you have comorbidities, but then again, it might not. I don't know the entire science behind it, but if you're so intent on making sure that your child is protected, if you are so, pro-jab and pro-mask and pro-whatever in regards to COVID, then you need to do whatever you need to do to protect your child. But if I don't want to give my child the jab, then I should have the freedom to do so. Every parent should have the freedom to either not give their child the COVID jab, or if they want to do it, so be it. Have at it. The fact that California, who up until a couple weeks ago, because now Newsom is easing the COVID restrictions in California, can you believe that? But yet, they're still masking kids. Unbelievable. I don't know if the jab mandate is still in effect in California for kids, which is unbelievable. You're jabbing 5-year-olds. Unbelievable. It's just insanity, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute insanity. And for any individual out there, like I said, like I just stated, if you have a immunocompromised child, then do what you have to do to protect your child. I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do it, because it's your child. You do what you have to do to protect your child. But if healthy children out here are being just overlooked and just are being penalized for such a small minority, and I'm not discrediting, I'm not demeaning, I'm not belittling, I'm not taking away whatever situation your child may be in. But it's come time now you cannot punish the whole because of a few. And that's my statement today on that. And I hope you enjoyed today's show. It was a little rocky. Had to do some camera adjustments and things like that. I gotta get a stronger, I don't know, here, in the comment section, I have my camera holder on the top of my dashboard. Should I get the suction one and put it up here? But I think it's going to shake the camera too much. At least with this, if I get it set, it doesn't shake the camera as much. This is what we do here on the Dan Adams Show. It's not all about politics. I talk about sports. I talk about entertainment. And I talk about you helping me with my camera situation so I can bring you this show every day. Because there's going to be times where, and once I get my studio completely set up down in my basement that I want, how I want it, I'll be doing my shows there when I can. But when I can't, this is how it's going to be brought to you. Because I made a commitment to myself, not only to bring the show to you, but bring it to you whenever I possibly and physically can. So on that note, may God continue to bless you and yours. May he keep you and your family safe. Until next time, God bless. Peace.
So yesterday, the woman-beating racist sexual predator who has spent a lifetime demeaning and belittling anyone his power, wealth, and privilege allowed him to, declared martial law in Canada. The black-faced racist who spends his holidays pissing on the graves of indigenous children that his father helped to bury, invoked the Emergency Measures Act to crush the dangerous uprising of the peasant class in their fortified bouncy castles. Justin Trudeau, the tyrant king of Canada, backed by the rich, ruling liberal elite who've elevated him to the level of king by way of his name and bloodline. This tyrant king has, for the last 2 years of his reign of terror, imprisoned his subjects, laid waste to their lands, and burned their villages. All his life, he has wronged people, and they have capitulated out of fear. And now, for the first time, there's people who won't submit to your highness's tyranny, his bullying. So they're labeled as dangerous insurrectionists because suddenly these people from whom you've taken so much are standing up and saying no more. And now it's a threat to your pocketbook and the pocketbooks of your billionaire buddies. So the peasants that stand up to your passport system of class and privilege and your anti-science, anti-freedom tyranny are labeled as enemies of the crown. Traitors that threaten your kingdom, not because they're violent or racist or misogynistic or anti-science, but because they just won't goddamn submit. So you deputize the protectors of the people as your Kingsguard to round up the disloyal, imprison them, smash their equipment, threaten to seize the assets of anyone who may dare even support them. People who have done more for their fellow countrymen in 3 weeks than you have in your entire pathetic life. You destroyed their businesses, slaughtered their friends and families, and now you're going after what's left by declaring them terrorists because for the first time in your fucking life, someone had the audacity to say no to you. An irredeemable tyrant with an unquenchable thirst for power, a petulant child with a crown and an army at his disposal. The King Joffrey of Canada, and without question the most dangerous threat to our democracy. I only take solace in the fact that when your reign does come to an end, the history books will ensure that when people speak your name, it will be stated with the same disdain and disgust as the names Stalin, Pol Pot, and Adolf Hitler.
Charlie, the Democratic Party exodus continues as the last remaining Democrat in South Carolina's Dorchester County Council, I should say, now says she'll run for re-election as a Republican. Joining me now, that individual, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Harriet Holman. Lieutenant Colonel Holman, thank you so much for being here. What was the final straw for you that led you to ditch the Democratic Party?
Well, it's just some things that I had looked at that I just didn't agree with any longer. And one of the things was that I am just totally a pro-life, and I am about capitalism, and I am for funding the police. And so those things are what made me make my final decision.
You said you originally ran as a Democrat, and I'm going to read your quote exactly, because, quote, that is what you are supposed to do. Do you see that notion changing among a lot of people, specifically among African Americans?
I do. I think that, you know, when we are born, we're born into our families, and we kind of take on the trait of what our families are. And my parents were Democrats, and so that's what I was. It was never even thought or considered about changing to the Republican Party. But as I, you know, retired from the military and started getting more involved in my community and started seeing things that were just not quite like I thought they should be, I decided to make a switch. You know, and it wasn't an easy decision. I talked to family, I talked to friends, I talked to some of my constituents, and a lot of my family members are really Republicans as well. So it was not too hard of a transition at all. And now that I've done it, I am very much at ease with it, very much happy with my decision, and I'm enjoying being a Republican for the last 24 hours.
Understood. Meantime, there's this. Michael Bloomberg warning Democrats of a midterm election wipeout. Here's the headline. San Francisco shows Democrats have a seismic challenge ahead. Without changing course, the party is headed for a November wipeout. His argument is that Democrats got to stop focusing on political correctness and culture wars. So I'll ask you, as a former Democrat, why did the Democratic Party, when you were in it, and now why do they currently still focus on things that the majority of the American people, regardless of party, don't care about?
Well, one of the things I think they should be focusing on is the things that people are talking about at the dining room table. At the dinner table, we talk about a lot of things, and one of the biggest things that we're talking about right now is inflation. Inflation is 7.2% inflation, the highest inflation we've had since 1982, I believe. And then we're talking about gas prices, which we may see a $4 gas price here this year alone. So those are the things that we need to focus on. Those are the things that my constituents are focusing on. And those are the things that I want to change and help my constituents, get through right now. I don't want to keep seeing the middle class people go without. Because of inflation, because of high gas prices. So we need to look at that and try to help the individuals get further. And not with just handouts. We need to just help them get further with not having inflation being a huge part of their life right now.
Harriet Holman, you've been a Republican for 24 hours now. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it all. Carly, over to you.
The same individuals who in the 1980s, when I was in college, were making excuses for the Soviet Union.
Yes, that's right.
And had the no nukes concerts. Remember those, Tucker, all over Europe? It was Jackson Brown, and it was no nukes. It was Ronnie Reagan, and they hated the Strategic Defense Initiative. All of those people are now like, well, this much weaker Russia is our biggest problem facing the United States. And meanwhile, you have people on television like Joy Reid, who thinks that anyone isn't beating the war drums is basically a Kremlin apologist. Watch.
Trump's ties to Russia, the help his campaign accepted from them, and his adoration of Vladimir Putin are all too real. And worse, Trump's Putin love has seemed to infect many in his party. So much so that the Republican Party, once stalwart opponents of Soviet aggression during the Cold War, are now essentially Kremlin apologists.
Tucker, that's the line. You're going to hear that a lot.
I mean, I have to say, you got to just pull back a little bit. That woman, who is a moron, went to Harvard. I went to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. So who's got the privilege exactly? This is someone who's not capable of thinking clearly or expressing herself clearly or writing a coherent sentence. And she got into Harvard. So it does tell you that our system is elevating and producing the most mediocre people imaginable. That's the core problem. And they run every American institution, these people who've been brought up through a system that is designed to create compliant, brain-dead, dumb leaders. And it's doing that very effectively.
I think it's relatively safe at the moment. Look, I've got
There's another one.
I've got a flak jacket right here. Let me just get it on.
So Matthew Chance is live for us in Kyiv, Ukraine. Matthew, we're going to stick with you. Matthew is on a roof in central Kyiv, he's telling us, and just...
Похоже на дверь.
Подожди, це этот самий вистріл?
База взорвалась.